think art is something that is very personal. You should never pick a piece of art to match your sofa.
Welcome to Style Stories, brought to you by Easy Living Interiors, helping you transform your space and create the feeling of home. You love interiors, we love interiors, so let's talk about it. I'm Laura and you're very welcome to another episode of Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. I'm always fascinated by how style evolves over time, how ideas move from inspiration to something people actually live with, and how homes reflect not just trends but how our spaces create the feeling of home. That's why today's guest is someone I've been really looking forward to chatting with, Penny McCormick, contributing editor of The Glass. Penny has a unique perspective on interiors. She sees emerging ideas early, travels widely, and spends her days shaping conversations around what feels relevant, beautiful, and enduring. In this episode, we talk about the mood of homes right now, the colours, materials, and silhouettes shaping interiors in 2026, and how people are creating spaces that feel warmer, softer, and more personal. We also explore how to take inspiration from trends in a way that feels confident and timeless, and also taking a global look at our interiors. If you love interiors and enjoy understanding where ideas come from, the editorial world, where they're going next, you're going to enjoy this one. So let's get into it. Good afternoon, Penny. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Thank you.
And you've been busy straight into your February planning.
That's right. We're straight on deadline and planning the year ahead.
Yeah.
Interiors issues, fashion issues, events. It's full steam ahead.
Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Very good. So Penny, as contributing editor at The Glass, you have such a broad view of homes, culture and how people live. Might call you a tastemaker. So as we look ahead to 2026, what are the first changes you're starting to see?
I think what I'm seeing is imperfection more than perfection. Something more personalised over highly stylised, which is very welcome. I think everyone's sick of the perfect life portrayed on Instagram. It's homes are a little bit more real now, and the world is a cold, dark, quite scary place at the moment. So more and more, I think homes are becoming a cocoon and sanctuary, and that's is shown in lots of different ways.
And you love artwork, and you have an interview series where you speak with brilliant artists. So artwork, I think, is one of those kind of channels where it's creating that layered personal feeling. What are some other, I suppose, tangible examples you can think of creating that feeling of home as opposed to that perfect look?
I mean, I think for me, a great home interior has three things. Art is one, something that's very personalised to you, that you've maybe collected an artist or you've picked up a wonderful piece on your travels. Books. I don't think a home is complete without books. I love that kind of library look in a home. And I think pets.
Yes.
I think that gentle clutter of our lived-in family home is very appealing.
Yeah, agreed. And it's like when people come into your home as well, you want them to feel welcome and like they can relax. I think if it's so perfect, it's like you can't just sit back and be calm, Yeah. So what do you think about Cloud Dancer?
Personally, I'm not a fan.
Same. I'm glad you said that.
I think it's more a feeling than a reality. I think it's a palette cleanser, the idea of, a fresh start. But I'm not going to rush off and paint my home or any part of it in a white. I think, in fact, they haven't read the room. I think from what I've been seeing, it's all about dark, moody colours, or, for example, Dulux have named a trio of blues their colours of the year. I've seen a lot of ochres and ambers and sage greens. I think that's more relevant than stark white. In fact, minimalism, I think, is going.
Totally. And I'm so glad you said that, because the way we're seeing our customers moving is towards those warm terracottas, the lovely greens. We've got a gorgeous, this Scott sofa that we're sitting on. It's one of our best sellers we've had for years, but we've just, it's a great piece, but we've just brought it out in, we did a chocolate brown colour. We've done the green azure shade that Emer is sitting on, and there's a terracotta colour. And I think that's where it's at. It's at those layered colours.
Yeah, I mean, last year I swap my sofa, which was a cream, for an emerald green velvet. You know, I wanted warmth, you know, an anchoring colour for my living room rather than something neutral.
I actually have a turquoise sofa, and I have a rug that's very like this, and it has pinks and blues in it. So then with my accessories, I can do wall art that will pull together all of those colours. And I think people can be intimidated by colour sometimes, but it's like if you have a grounding, anchoring piece, you can tie it together and bring a whole look. So yeah, I'm glad you said that the room wasn't red with Cloud Dancer, because when that news came out, I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Same. And maybe that's what it's about, sparking conversation, you know, because definitely people are talking. So you've travelled extensively and you've lived in Dubai, and you regularly speak to artists and creatives. Do those conversations influence how you think about interiors and the idea of home?
First of all, I love supporting Irish artists. So anytime that I talk to them, I learn something all the time. I love landscapes. I think the feeling of bringing the outside in is how some artists have influenced me. And whether that's through a painting or colours, or another element that I think makes a great home is plants.
Definitely.
Not just you sort of a bunch of flowers from Marks at the weekend, you know, actually real plants growing. I mean, I love the kind of potted geraniums or pelargoniums.
Yeah.
I love that kind of look. I think art is something that is very personal, and you have to respond to emotionally. I mean, I remember talking to someone, you should never pick a piece of art to match your sofa. You know, you don't have to match the colours. It should be a lot more personal. But I think getting someone to hang it properly is very important. You know, if you don't have that knack, I think gallery walls are perhaps going. They're still, I like them personally, but I don't see as many of them.
Yeah.
It's gone off on a tangent. Yeah. I do think that talking to artists and learning more about them, even if it's maybe intimidating, is actually very beneficial.
Yeah, and we do artists in residence here, so we have artists and we display their work, and it's been brilliant as well for us. And it's like that, talking to artists, it can feel intimidating because I don't work in the art world. I can admire it, I can respect it, but sometimes I can feel intimidated by it. But it's so interesting when you meet these people and they tell you their backgrounds and their influences, and you get to kind of see, you know, the inspiration. You can feel the lived experience that goes into a piece of art. And, you know, we're in the world of AI now, and you can make AI art. So I think even now more than ever, artists are so much more important, because we don't want to be in a world where everything is just AI generated, because where's the soul, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you return to Ireland after time abroad, do you find that you notice Irish homes differently? And are there influences from other places that you've travelled to, lived in, that you think that Irish people could really learn from?
So I think climate has a very important factor in our homes. You know, I did live in Dubai for over a decade, which wasn't the plan initially. And before that, I lived in Africa. So warm climates, and my homes there, you know, were airy and all about keeping cool. So marble floors, you know, as much shade as possible. Heating wasn't really a factor. So when I came back home to Ireland, I felt frozen. Yeah, you know, and getting the fire going, and the electric bill went up substantially. I think you can take elements, I mean, definitely decorative elements I brought home are, you know, which are prevailing anyway, you know, eye-cap designs, you know, there's kind of elaborate lantern style lamps that, you know, you can pick up in Marrakesh. Yeah. The Arabic influence and motifs from Dubai I've seen slowly drip through to Europe. I think when I was in Dubai, you know, it's got a reputation for, you know, everything's bigger and better and bolder. People were more experiential or experimented and were braver because they had the space to do that. And they often had huge villas, which are not the case here. Although having said that, you know, if you've got a small room, don't be afraid to put something like a big sofa in it or a big piece of art, because it doesn't always follow that it should be small in a small space. Yeah. So probably feeling more confident about colour and creativity and choices is what I picked up along the way.
Nice. What does the feeling of home mean to you?
Somewhere I can shut the door and feel myself and enjoy putting my feet up on my sofa with my little dog and reading a good book, just relaxing.
Yeah.
The world of media is quite fast-paced. We're always on deadline. There's lots of very glamorous events, which I enjoy going to, but sometimes you just want to be in your own place and relaxing, but it's somewhere that's comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't want a picture-perfect home. I want something that represents me. And I think when people come to my home, they say, oh, it's very colourful and creative, and because it's filled to the gills.
Yeah.
You can say that with books and artworks.
Oh, I love that.
Not enough space. The last thing I did with it was put in a sort of storage system. I wouldn't say it's a walk-in wardrobe, but that's the dream, but a better wardrobe system. And this year I'm planning a bathroom, not extension, but renovation, and hoping to win the lottery before I start, because it's the most expensive room in the house to renovate.
I'm so curious about your book collection. So what's your favourite book at the moment?
I've just read Pearl Lowe's book, Faded Elegance. So she's got, I don't know whether you know her, but she's got this very distinctive interior style, which is all faded, Victorian throws and silk dresses hanging in the bedroom and ornate headboards, but it all looks very achievable.
Yeah.
She likes antiquing. I love antiques. I like that mix of modern and old and fashion pieces. And her book has been very interesting because she's gone round her friends who happen to be somebody like Helena Christensen, the supermodel, in her little flat.
Oh, it just happens to be.
Yeah, but it's always really inspiring to see what they've done with big or small spaces.
Yeah. So there's a noticeable move towards homes that are calmer and more grounded. From your perspective, what do you think people are really looking for in their living spaces right now?
Comfort, definitely. I think you can't beat investing in comfortable chairs and a sofa. I mean, I don't know whether you remember when Jennifer Aniston famously broke up with Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
And I think one of the remarks she made was, oh, thank goodness I'll be able to sit in a comfortable chair, because apparently he liked, very high-end designer Italian sofas, which we know look amazing to look at, but are not particularly comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I think comfort is key. Yeah. Colour drenching, paint, finishes are very important, pattern and print. Mm-hmm. I think that's 3 key things.
I've seen this new paint idea as well. It's like an evolved version of colour drenching. It's colour... Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like it's not ombre, but it's using varying shades and doing them like on the wall and then on your cornicing as well.
Almost like marbling effect.
Yeah, it's really cool. And also like the different things that you can do with your walls, like lime washing as well.
Yeah, and really paneling.
Nice. Paneling.
I like paneling a lot.
Yeah, that's like the most easy way to make a room look expensive.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
So in the homes you feature and write about, what tends to distinguish spaces that look really good and then the spaces that look really good but feel really lived in? What are those differences that you notice?
I think sometimes the layout of furniture, maybe having, obviously the homes that we feature have been combination or collaboration between the owner and an interior designer, and it's always great to have somebody else's opinion on your home, whether you like it or not. Mm. So even that kind of idea of, well, have you thought of putting the sofa over here, completely changes the look of a room. Or, what about the table here? I think a layout can alter, your perspective on a room, for one, and removing certain elements. Obviously before a home is featured in any magazine, it's always styled, so that some clutter is removed, more is added. But I think having someone throw their expert eye over what your possessions, and even grouping them, whether that's in the rule of 3, have 3 things on a table rather than 4 or 2, the odd number. Sometimes, I don't do it personally, haven't done it, but, colour coding your books and your library can look very effective in certain spaces. Those little tips can make a huge difference.
I actually love strange things, I love maybe just shoes being around, but the shoes not having to go and be hidden away.
Yeah.
I think those little things, and I like what you said there with the book that you're reading and using, was it dresses you said, as a display piece?
Yeah.
I think that's really nice too.
Yeah, and also having a tailor's dummy, say, in a bedroom with a piece round it, or, your silk scarves or something, displaying, in a bedroom, your necklaces as a decorative piece is nice too.
Yeah. So colour trends are always evolving, but not all of them suit everyday life. So looking ahead to 2026, what colours do you think people can use with confidence and not feel like they might get it wrong?
I think definitely shades of green. I was reading eucalyptus, olive greens are in. I think those work well in our climate, and I think that's, as reading, before you put a shade on the wall, understand the orientation of your house, which way it faces, where the light hits. Is it north facing? I will never buy another north facing home again because I've got a north facing garden and house, and the light sort of shifts towards the back by the end of the day. So certain paints colours look better at certain times of the day. I mean, I talked to the famous interior designer Nicky Haslam, who's done houses for Mick Jagger, etc., and he said, should never use yellow in the UK or Ireland because our climate is not set up for that. But conversely, I've heard that shades of yellow or biscuit are in for this year. He thinks that any woman should paint her bathroom a pink because it's more flattering to your complexion.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which I thought was very interesting. And I have actually painted one wall of my bathroom setting plaster, which is a really dusky, well, not even dusky, but a sort of pinkish colour from Farrow and Ball, and it is very flattering. It's just a nice, subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that because I've wondered for a long time, why do I hate how I look in my bathroom mirror? But it's the colour, because it's actually a deep navy tile, so it's reflecting. Oh, okay, makes a lot of sense now. We're going pink. So you've written about how light can completely transform a colour once it's in a room. What advice do you give to someone choosing paint or finishes in their own home? Do you have any top tips or hacks?
You don't expect to get it right on the first go. I mean, I talked to Chloe Townsend, an Irish interior designer who was responsible for Gloria Osteria in Dublin. I don't know whether you've been, but it's a fabulous restaurant and it's colour drenched in this fabulous burgundy colour. And I said, oh, it looks amazing. And she said, yes, it took me 29 goes to get the right colour. So we think, by putting a couple of samples on the wall, we're going to choose one. Interior designers make sure they get the right colour.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you invest at the beginning so you don't make a mistake and have to redo it.
Yeah.
Also, as I said before, think about how it will look during the day as it gets darker and where it is.
I find what's really good is painting a sample on paper and then literally going around the room with the paper and doing that at different times of day and doing it on different walls depending where the light comes in and just really seeing, okay, how does this change? And as well, your lighting is going to impact it as well. So think about the dreaded ceiling light. How is it going to look under the ceiling light? And are you going to do a layered lighting scheme? So there's, and it's trial and error as well. So are there materials you consistently see working well? Ones that add a sense of warmth and they don't date quickly?
Well, I'm a big kind of chintz lover, which, I'm probably very traditional. I grew up with Laura Ashley, so I think those kind of traditional prints never go out of fashion if handled correctly. I mean, they can look very good in a contemporary setting. I love those heritage prints, but equally I like geometric fabrics, and I'm seeing not just the return to those kind of prints, but also fringing and tassels.
Yes.
And curtains and skirts. You know, I think all of that, 1980s kind of she interior look is coming back to a certain extent.
Yeah, like kitsch almost.
Yes. Yeah.
I love a fringe lamp.
Yes.
They're so nice. And so curved forms are very present at the moment. How would you see people incorporating those softer shapes?
I think they can be used in a dining room setting, curved chairs. I think that whole trend has actually been kick-started by Irish designer Brian O'Sullivan. I don't know whether he's done the Park in Kenmare, he's done Claridge's in London, he's working on the Shelburne this year. He's been responsible for curved chairs and scalloped sofas and a lot of his commercial interior design, which is filtering down to, the residential projects. And he's often put them in, settings that you wouldn't think. We might put a curved chair in a bedroom, but he puts them in the dining room. It's just thinking about the setting. I also remember reading, someone suggested if you've got the space, always add a chair to your bathroom because it instantly elevates it.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting feature.
Yep.
It's kind of, it's a talking point, but it's also a nice thing to have.
And I think as well in design, it's things that challenge you in a sense. It's juxtapositions and things that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That just engage. It's I suppose it's where the rule of three comes from, because we should follow order.
Yes.
But using odd numbers, it challenges your brain.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And it adds layers of depth that you wouldn't expect. And I love a good curved chair at a dining table.
Yeah.
So good. So if someone wanted to refresh their home without a full redesign and an overhaul, and they just want to sprinkle in some seasonal trends, what would you recommend?
I think a lick of paint, it definitely, is, or even just repainting what they've, the same colour just to freshen it up. Reordering the furniture, definitely. Bringing in some plants. I'm not, or even changing the cushions, swapping the cushions out if you've got that, or adding. I'm not a big person on throws. I like them in the winter, but have a think seasonally. What can I change up or down? But I think paint is the main one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what is your favourite number one paint colour at the moment?
Pink. Sorry.
No, I love that.
Yeah, I like all shades of pink. In fact, I've got my tiny second bedroom, which I've converted into an office. I'm thinking of painting in a kind of really the shelving a Barbie pink, which is like not me because I was never into Barbie. It was always Cindy, but I mean, I wasn't a pink girl. Yeah. And I just feel like that. I've been very inspired by looking at, is it Jen O'Connell on Instagram? I love her home. She's fab.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing my office that kind of shade with accent colours.
Yeah. I love pink, and I was a groovy chick girl, so I was always pink. Maureen O'Connell as well has a gorgeous pink living room. Yeah. And we recently painted our studio pink, one of the rooms in it, and it was a deep navy blue, or was it green? It was a deep colour anyway. And when we painted it pink, we were like, oh my God, there's such life in this room now. It's so bright and it's airy.
I know. I changed my living room to a sort of pinky beige colour. I can't remember the actual shade, but it just changed it up and alters the mood.
Yeah. It's just, it's airy, I think.
Yeah.
So you interviewed Jerry O'Toole from Jerry Designs.
Yes.
What are examples that you see from designer houses? So how do designers design their houses? And do you see their interior design, the way they'd approach a project? Do you see their homes in that same light? Or do you see that their own homes are a bit different?
Well, I think, interior designers have got an aesthetic. You could clearly see that, whether that's Jerry or Roisin Lafferty or Susie McAdam, they've all got their style, but they've all got to comply with their client's brief.
Totally, yeah.
And what they've got and how much they can spend and, are they allowed to, do they have to incorporate elements that are there or is there an unlimited budget? I think that I do like to see interior designers at home, because that's when they let loose on everything, and that it's their calling card, so they have to really make it special.
Yeah.
That is, one of the best parts of the job, seeing through the keyhole in their own home.
Yeah.
But you can see elements in other houses that they've done for clients. Obviously, they want that replicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with so many people working from home, so work, living, all of that, what solutions have you seen that genuinely work day to day, and how can people kind of reclaim their spaces from workspaces into home and living spaces?
I think trying to, carve a little place where you're for work, which is not, I used to work on the kitchen table. No, I've changed that, and I've, cleared second bedroom to make it an office, so it makes your work is not encroaching on every other aspect of your job.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. Trying to find, a desk space that incorporates into the living room that works nicely with your scheme.
Yeah.
I know it's not always possible, although I think conversely a lot of people are going back to the office for that reason, that they're sick of the clutter at home.
Yeah.
They like to be able to have it all at work rather than taking over their life.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to close the door on it.
Yes.
And leave that behind, because as well, when you work in a creative industry,
you're always there.
You're always doing it. And I'm sure you're probably reading your book. And if you're reading about interiors, then you're going to be thinking about the next issue coming up. So it's good and bad.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your editorial insights. So from your vantage point, which interior trends do you think listeners should embrace as we move into 2026? And which ones do you think maybe don't have that lasting power?
So I think I've seen a huge trend to antiques and sort of wood, sort of picking up wooden items, but that might be a wooden vanity unit to use in the bathroom, incorporating, more and more brown furniture, in schemes rather than modern design. That's obviously a nod to sustainability, but this mix of vintage with modern pieces, I think, is one thing that will last the distance. Mm-hmm. There's been a trend to incorporating more interesting textiles rather than bland minimalism. So I think, that will last too. Mm-hmm. And I think just finishes, whether that's paint finishes, decorative finishes, it's those tiny differences that can make a difference.
Yeah. Are there small details that you see, like, designers do, signature things that designers do that people can learn from?
Well, one of my favourite hotel designers or hotelier is Kit Kemp. Mm-hmm. And one of her signatures is the decorative headboard in the bedroom. I think that's an instant update in a bedroom, which can be done quite easily if you find a nice piece of fabric, make a decorative headboard. That's one thing. Susie McAdam and Roisin Lafferty are all about statement chandeliers and lights.
Yeah.
They'll go down to Portlaoise or do the fair, the antiques fairs, and find a fabulous light. It's something that takes time but is worth the effort. Mm-hmm. So switching up from an ordinary light to a spectacular entrance hall light makes a big difference as well.
So finally, after all of the homes that you've seen and written about, what do you think makes a home just feel really good?
I think, as I said before, comfort, colour, creativity, stack of books, and maybe a little dog at your feet.
Yeah. Do you really, to be yourself in your space?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick fire round. What is your favourite song at the moment?
Well, favourite song is September by Earth, Wind and Fire. It's my party piece. If it's playing, I will get up and dance.
I've
done that. And also, I'm a big Bruno Mars fan, so I would love to go and see him in concert. But anyway, I think
I'm big on a Harry Styles wave at the moment because he has the new album coming out. Yeah. So I'm already on, when is he going on tour? And where can I get the tickets? What is your favourite TV show at the moment?
The Night Manager.
Nice.
I think it's sort of went up a notch.
What is your favourite holiday destination?
Probably say south of France. I spent a lot of time working just outside Saint-Tropez, so it's got a soft spot for me.
Gorge. And what is your favourite way to spend a day off with no responsibilities?
It has to start with a good coffee somewhere.
Yeah.
Big coffee drinker. And then a mosey around an antiques fair, market, shops, charity shops. And then have a nice lunch or dinner with friends, drinks.
Lovely. And that's it. That's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. You can hear all the news, including links to more information, in the description area of this podcast. Please share our show with a friend who might enjoy it. Simply search Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors on Apple, Spotify or YouTube. This podcast is produced by justpod.io for Easy Living Interiors.